Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, for the land under the frame, and the home of the brave.
Don't be afraid, this is a low fat, and you are listening to HonestAnswerRadio.com. Now, where is the egg roll you guys promised me?
The views and opinions expressed on the Honest Answer Radio show are the opinions of Honest Answer Media and no one else. If you're hearing a syndicated broadcast of this show, don't hold it against the broadcaster. Rather, congratulate them on their openness, tolerance, and respect for the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
The sky is falling and it's breaking through. The walls are splitting clean in two. It's coming down no matter what we do, but we can make things better. Oh, children, bend your knees, bow your head, pray for peace, rise again. Oh, my people, bend your knees, bow your head, pray for peace, and rise again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, for almost a year, there was an escalating pattern of violence directed towards the United States and other Western targets in Libya. Attacks on the consulate in Benghazi, attacks and assassination attempts on the British ambassador, attacks on the International Red Cross, attacks on courthouses, judges assassinated, culminating on September the 11th in the murder of 4 Americans, including our ambassador to Libya. Before those 4 murders, Mr. Chairman, just a few weeks before that, our embassy in Libya said this to the Department of State: the security condition in Libya remains unpredictable, volatile, and violent. So, Mr. Chairman, despite what would appear to any reasonably objective observer as an escalating pattern of violence, including sophistication, coordination, and management, this administration blamed the murder of our ambassador and 3 others on a video. Don't take my word for it, Mr. Chairman. Let's look at what Ambassador Rice herself said. Our current assessment is that what happened in Benghazi was, quote, in fact, initially a spontaneous reaction. I don't know what the phrase in fact means in diplomatic legalese. I can tell you what it means in a courtroom, Mr. Chairman. It means it's a fact. And she went on national television and she said, not as this ambassador has said, that I'm not going to speculate, that I've got to get all the information. She said, in fact. This was a spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired hours before in Cairo, almost a copycat of the demonstrations against our facility in Cairo, which were prompted, of course, Mr. Chairman, by a video, is what she said. And then she proceeds to say the attack was spontaneous. I can think of few things, Mr. Chairman, more antithetical to spontaneity than a 12-month-long prologue of violence in Libya. And then she said she relied solely and squarely on the information the intelligence community provided. Mr. Chairman, I would like to have another hearing where we can ask Ambassador Rice under oath, who told you what when? You're going to blame the intelligence committee? You come before this committee and you tell us who told you it was a video. Who in the intelligence community said it? Who in the diplomatic community blamed this on a video? And then we move to Jay Carney, who's the spokesperson for the leader of the free world. This is what he said, Mr. Chairman. I'm saying based on information that our initial information that includes all information, we saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack. What we saw was evidence that it was sparked by the reaction to this video. And that is what we know thus far based on evidence, concrete evidence, close quote. Mr. Chairman.
And welcome to Honest Answer Radio. I am the Marty half of this little shindig here.
And I'm the Casey half. Welcome to the show.
Boy, that's a heck of a way to open up, ain't it? Trey Gowdy going off.
Trey Gowdy was pretty hacked. And he wasn't the only one. I actually watched that whole proceeding last night. I thought my brain was going to go numb.
I couldn't sit through the whole thing. There's just no way I could sit through all 4 hours of that.
I think I may have missed a question or two, I mean, in all honesty. But I watched pretty much everything, or most of the videos that CNBC had, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, C-SPAN.
Yeah, C-SPAN.
I mean, it was wow.
Well, you know, they have a right to be upset. I think a lot more people ought to be upset. You know, Trey Gowdy was not unique to his outrage.
No,
what's the other guy's name? Chaffetz. Wasn't that his name?
Yes.
He actually, within hours of, learning about this, he took off. He took off down there himself to go and look with his own eyes and see.
That Ambassador Lady Lamb, who was there sitting there in front of the committee.
Charlene or Charlotte Lamb, whatever her name is.
Charlotte Lamb, I think.
Yeah.
He, asked her how many times she had been to Libya in the last 14 months. She said, never. So, by the way, just if y'all didn't watch it, this lady, she was the one, I think, if Marty, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but she's the one who's responsible for saying yay or nay on
the security.
They got security reinforcement.
Yeah. They nailed her down pretty hard, because the Republicans aren't. It's not just Representative Gowdy and Representative Chaffetz that are getting to speak here. They're Republicans. The Democrats got to speak too. I wish I had some of their audio. Unfortunately, no one seems to have thought that it was worth playing. But apparently what went on, and since you watched, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Democrats that spoke all seemed to want to say that the security situation and what happened in Benghazi was a direct result of budgetary cuts and things brought about by Republican stonewalling. Is that what I'm...
That would be fairly safe.
And would it be also fair to say that was pretty much all of them saying that?
I can't say all of them. I can say all that I saw.
Okay. Fair enough. Chaffetz actually went boots on the ground, had an attorney that the Obama administration appointed to follow him everywhere he went. Now, I don't have his audio, unfortunately, but he did say, feel free to go over to theblaze.com. They have... They have his audio there. He said, the whole time I was there, I never heard anything about any video. Now, isn't that crazy? How that was the, that.
See, I'm trying to figure out in all this, where did that whole, this is the thing of the video, when did that first get told to somebody? See, that's what I'm wanting to figure out. And I think I heard a couple of the guys, that were questioning this panel, I think there were some others who asked the same question in just about as many words. Where did that even come into?
And did they all say Cairo?
No, it was classified.
Oh, well,
they weren't prepared. I mean, that Ambassador Kennedy, I think, is his name.
Yeah.
I mean, his name ought to be the Weasel.
Yeah. He looks like one, doesn't he?
He's acting like direct questions from Congress, like he's treating this as some diplomatic discussion or treaty negotiation.
Yeah, or like he's offended that they would even ask such questions.
Well, there's that too. I mean, really, he's
you're
very
just a congressman
being where he is right now, and they're not making him uncomfortable enough for my taste.
Nor mine either. Look, man.
But they don't you can't bring a waterboard onto the Senate floor. I understand.
Look, these people are responsible not just for our security, but they're responsible for the security of the men and women that go to these war zones on our behalf. Someone, somewhere, dropped a ball. Now, what really chaps my behind in all of this is, where are the mainstream media networks on this little debacle? They're wanting to talk about Romney and Ryan running a Big Bird, going against Big Bird, or Romney supposedly flip-flopping on abortion. They don't want to talk about the Obama camp dropping the ball on interests of national security, because that's what our ambassadors, when they're over there in those war zones, like this one was, trying to track down some 20,000 or 12,000 shoulder-fired missiles that the Obama camp gave to the Taliban, or the Al-Qaeda. That's interest of national security there, man.
Yeah, no fooling.
Who you think those shoulder-fired rockets are going to be aimed at? You think they're just going to, target practice with those things? Maybe, but it'll be on our planes and helicopters.
Exactly.
Or those of our allies.
I mean...
Or they'll darn sure be sold to somebody that wants to use them against us. You can bet on that.
Oh, look, they're going to disappear, and they won't just stay in Libya either.
And you've got
those things. How much you want to bet those things end up in Afghanistan, fired at our helicopters, our A-10.
Or Colonel Wood, getting up there. He was actually there, in the months leading up to this. He was like, we were the last flag standing. It was only a matter of time. They repeatedly asked for boosts in security up until, what's her name, Charlotte what?
Lamb.
Charlotte Lamb tells them, stop asking for it. You guys are asking for too much. But you know what, man?
But you know what? She told them they couldn't request anymore. But when they sent one, the email with the word request was used in there, it wasn't a proper request.
Wasn't a proper request.
Paperwork was not properly filled out, so we couldn't act on it.
Oh, ha, 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 ha.
Look, man.
Well, look,
we've watched more of her testimony.
I think that will explain part 2 of our little Trey Gowdy audio.
Yeah, he didn't really think too much of her either. But
No.
let's hear what he has.
Let's hear. Yeah.
You know that in former life, I spent a little time in the courtroom, so when I hear the phrase concrete evidence, it means something to me. That's even stronger language than simply saying something is in fact. So 2 representatives of this administration gave demonstrably false statements, not just to us, but to our fellow citizens on national television. Now, is the explanation for those demonstrably false statements, as my colleague from Florida just asked, was it negligence? Was it just a reckless disregard for the truth? Or was it more nefarious than that? Mr. Chairman, the American people are reasonable. People understand investigations take time. People don't expect you to speculate until you have all the facts. What they will not forgive, Mr. Chairman, is being misled. We want our questions answered, and I want them answered by the people that went out before the American people and sought to mislead them by blaming this on a video when there is no evidence, concrete or otherwise, to support the assertions made by this administration. Mr. Chairman, I just had a conversation with Jason Chaffetz out back, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. He still gets emotional talking about what he saw in Libya. There were 4 brave Americans who died under circumstances that we can scarcely fathom. The terror, the fear, the anarchy of being killed in that fashion. They did what their country asked them to do. They stood post under dangerous circumstances even after requests for security were denied. They stood their post. The least we can do is stand this meager post that we've been assigned and demand that this administration speak the truth to the people it's supposed to serve. This was never about a video. It was never spontaneous. This is terror. And I want to know why we were lied to. And I yield back.
I want to know why we was lied to. I want to know why. I want to know why the other networks aren't screaming, "Why were we lied to?" There was a time in this country when the press were like at odds with the White House, Republican or Democrat, didn't matter. It didn't matter what president was sitting in the office; they were going after him. They went after Carter. They went after Ford.
I mean, even when
they went after Reagan,
you would consider that most people on the in the press were to the left, but I mean, David Brinkley didn't cut the presidents any slack.
No, no, they held the administrations accountable to the people. That's how Watergate got broke, man. Reporters doing their job. They saw a sitting president doing something they knew to be illegal, and they called him on it. Here we have a case where the president and his surrogates are lying to the American people time after time after time after time. And when they get called out on it, do they go, "Oh, well, look, man, we were wrong"? No. No, they doubled down.
They've tripled down.
Little Debbie Downer. It's bad when Piers Morgan is like out debating you on Americans, on American policy.
No kidding, man. I mean, it's pretty sick when when you're to the left of Piers Morgan.
Or, when a Brit can tell us about our own policy and call us out on our own words like that. I mean, come on. How does this make us look to the rest of the dang world?
She kept saying, that this isn't false. I mean, here we're back down to the Bill Clinton years of what exactly is.
Yeah. It ain't daytime. Well, what's that big bright thing up in the sky? Oh, it's a reflection. No, it's
swamp
daytime.
Gas.
Yeah, swamp gas. No, it's daytime. No, it's swamp gas. I mean, these people, it's almost like they are incapable of telling the truth. Check this out. Ed Henry, he is the White House correspondent for, of course, Fox News. But he hasn't always been with Fox News. He's been with CNN. He's been with NBC, ABC, CBS. Ed's been around, all right? This is how you handle a press secretary.
If you're citing that on September 12th, the president called it terrorism, he used a phrase like act of terror. No act of terror. Well, then why were you at this podium for several days after that saying we don't know if it's terrorism? If you're now
I never
saying
said that. I never said we don't know if it's terrorism.
Huh? Wait.
Wait,
Did he just say? Did Jay Carney just then say he never said it was an act of terrorism? Tell me that's what he said.
That's what it said.
Hang on. This is September the 14th.
It's actively under investigation, both the Benghazi attack and incidents elsewhere. And my point was that we don't have and did not have concrete evidence to suggest that this was not in reaction to the film, but we're obviously investigating the matter.
Now, he didn't exactly say this isn't terrorism, but he sure was doubling down on that video.
Well, I mean, this whole thing, we don't have any evidence that it's not because of, you're what? This is where they throw, he's throwing as many words into this as possible. That whole sentence that he said is like a Rorschach.
Dude,
you could make that thing sound like anything you want it to.
I was going to say, they remind me of these psychics.
Communication that we expect from the leader of the free world.
They remind me of these TV psychics, that'll, glean a little bit of information from somebody just from, really good observation.
Mm-hmm.
And then have these people, they think they can have people believing that, they're somehow tuned into something that you're not. That's what the Obama camp does, man. It's almost like they're trying to Jedi mind trick the entire world. We're not the droids you're looking for. Yes, y'all are.
Really what it is if, you can't trust the evidence of your senses because you don't know all the things we know.
All right. Well, based on what I
message.
do know, though, based on the stuff that we do know, that is public knowledge, that is the truth, I still got to go with my gut on this one, man. These people are lying.
We've got all the evidence, but they still keep saying, but there's classified and we had information and if you were, like us, you would know, but you're not. You don't have all the information that we got.
If we was in the club, in other words. If we was in a club, we would know more. But I don't want to be in their club because they're lying. These people are blatantly misleading the public, man.
Well, yeah.
There's
or they're trying to. See, that's just it. They keep treating American people as if we're all too stupid to see what they're doing. But the thing is, we're not. And I got a feeling that there's a whole lot of people across this country, as a matter of fact, I know they are all around Alabama, who are sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
No, we're not that dumb. And, I know, yes, there are people who drink the Kool-Aid.
Dude, it's like
buy into it.
It's like the last debate. Obama stands on one side of the stage and says, and Mitt Romney's going to have $5 trillion tax cuts. And he's going to cut taxes on the wealthy and put it on the backs of the middle class. Romney go, that's not my plan.
Aha.
5 minutes later, he'd go, okay.
About his plan.
Okay. Well, since that's not your plan, Mitt Romney's going to have a $5 trillion tax cut. Going to give it to the wealthiest among us. And put it on the backs of the middle class. No. Look, that's not my plan. Here's my plan. Oh, okay. Mitt Romney's going to have $5 trillion tax. I mean, they really believe that if they repeat it enough, that the people are going to go, Mitt Romney's going to have $5 trillion tax cuts. Going to be with the wealthiest among us. Put it on the backs of the middle class. Yes, master.
Death to the poor, death to the poor.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, come on. But the sad truth of it is that a whole bunch of people aren't going to be hearing any of the evidence to the contrary, because they're only going to be hearing what's on the mainstream networks that aren't talking about it. They're not hammering these people. I mean, all right, picture, if you will. Let's go back in our Wayback Machine to the second go-around in Iraq. You with me?
Okay.
Remember when George Bush had said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, right?
Uh-huh.
Drew us into a war over there, and when we got over there, we kicked their booty, and they were like, where are the weapons of mass destruction? Now, everybody knew that they was there. Everybody knew that they went to Syria or over into Jordan. Everybody knew that. But they couldn't exactly prove it, so it pretty much left George Bush going, oh no, I don't know where they're at.
They were a little harsh on old George.
Oh my gosh, man! They've labeled him. They still have him labeled as a war criminal for falsely leading us into a war. All right, now, granted, this is not necessarily a war yet. But you don't think that the death of a United States ambassador in a foreign land wouldn't be enough to touch off a little skirmish or two? You remember World War I was started by just some little dude, that shot somebody in Austria-Hungary?
Yeah.
I mean,
Archduke Ferdinand.
Yep, just boop. That did it right there. Don't tell me. Wars have been started over a lot less, man. And these are troubled times over in the Middle East. Not just over in Benghazi, man. It's not just what happened in Benghazi that's at stake. Syria's firing at Turkey. Turkey's firing at Syria. Iran is sneaking in some of their elite Qud guards in there.
This is what happens, man, when the United States starts losing prestige around the world. This is what happens when people don't believe that we have teeth anymore. I mean, every time we get one of those weak Democratic presidents in here, and I'm not talking about, Bill Clinton was not a weak Democratic president, but Obama is. So was Jimmy Carter. They didn't have a plan. Whatever else you want to say about Clinton, the man had a plan.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I have to beg to differ with you. There have been many, many reports that Big Daddy Bill, Slick Willie, was not the decisive thinker that he portrays himself to be, particularly not in there. Bingo.
Either way, it was a strong presidency, whether it was,
Well, okay, I'll give you that.
Bill or not.
I'll give you that
under
part.
Carter, look what happened in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah.
Iran overthrew the Shah, took our hostages, our citizens hostage for, 400 some days? I mean, it was it was messed up, and it took a Republican president back in office to settle things down. Why do people think that history won't repeat itself when you keep setting the same conditions? A weak United States, or a United States that is perceived as weak.
Well, all this week and last week, ever since that last debate, people have been wanting to try to, rehabilitate everything that this president, has done.
They're wanting to rewrite history.
Yeah. And before we go to break, dude, there is someone who was able to put it way more eloquently than you or I.
Elmer Fudd?
No.
No.
Michelle Malkin nailed it. She nailed it. This sums up the Obama administration and the Obama campaign.
What you've got here is a den of lying liars and crap weasels who are all behind the scenes trying to figure out who to hang out to dry. And you saw a little bit of that maneuvering in the hearing today. But you also saw, and I think this is completely shameless from these Democrats who wag their fingers at the Republicans who are trying to get to the bottom of the truth here, grandstanding about how this is being politicized at the same time that this current administration is dragging Osama bin Laden's body all over every last swing state. And then we got an admission, and I think this was very key during the hearing, from Charlene Lamb, who is one of these State Department bureaucrats, desk jockeys in Washington, making decisions, refusing the requests on the ground from people who knew that there should be increased security. We got an admission from her that no, the decision that was ultimately made by her, by Scott Bultrowitz, by Eric Boswell, and all of these State Department career lifers had nothing to do with the budget considerations that you've got every last Democrat blaming Republicans for.
And we will be right back.
I will be held accountable. I've got 4 years. If I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term proposition.
There is no Peace Corps. There is no Special Forces. There is no 50-mile hikes. There's no moon program. There's nothing to root for.
Our president has failed to lead this debate or offer a serious proposal.
Jimmy Carter or Bill Clinton or George Bush or Ronald Reagan.
This president is desperate, and I think he is demeaning the office.
Had a terrorist incident and flown off to a fundraiser in Las Vegas, they would have been crucified.
Borrowing $110 billion this year, probably from China.
Why does he want his second term? Would he tell us? What's he going to do in his second term? More of this? Is this it? Is this as good as it gets?
Mr. President, it is time to stop blaming your predecessor for your failed economic policies.
President Obama is one of the least experienced men ever to occupy the White House.
Liberals believe that America is great because of government.
This president hasn't even met with his jobs council in the last 7 months.
I reject this idea that we should just shrug our shoulders and buy the PBS BuzzFeed line.
You gotta be kidding me. You jammed this down our throat. You didn't even let anybody in Washington even read the damn thing.
If Obamacare goes through and Obama is reelected, you were talking about the total destruction of wealth in America.
And they look to Washington, they see politicians who can't stop spending money. Their money.
It is the end of America as we know it. There will be no innovation. There will be no growth.
We're better than this. We need to prove it.
America is the story of everyday people who did extraordinary things.
As for me and my family, we will serve God. We will serve this constitutional republic. We will serve America.
I can do that. That's the America I know.
Where tomorrow is always better than yesterday. That is what our politics should be about. And that is what we are deciding this election.
We own this country.
We are the heirs of patriots who cast off the chains of tyranny.
And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people.
But I don't want my children and grandchildren to have to read the history book, what it was like to live in an American century.
Is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
The promise of America must be kept for the next generation.
No one sits this one out. There are two paths. There are two paths.
This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Hello, this is Manmeet and you are listening to the HonestAnswerRadio.com. The sound of Casey and Marty's voice fills my heart like a golden poem. I am so full of love.
to The Honest Answer here on HonestAnswerRadio.com and Spreaker.com. If you're listening to us over there on Spreaker.com, you know how to get to the little chat button. Feel free to drop in and say hey. Or over here on our website, there's a little button on the player that'll let the little chat thing pop up. Feel free to jump in, give us a holler, say what's up. We won't bite. Man, I tell you.
Yeah, you gave Michelle Malkin the last word. Woo,
man,
Lord.
Look, she said it better than anybody I've heard yet.
She used the word crap weasel.
I've never heard the word crap weasel before, but it's now in my lexicon of vocabulary. I'm going to use that. You have to say it like 5 times in order for the word to be in your vocabulary for good. And I know I've said crap weasel probably half a dozen times today just to be sure.
I like it.
I do too. It does. It calls to me. But essentially, that's what we got. That's what we've got in the White House. And I know, that's what we always have in the White House. Well, guess what? 1 short month from now, we're going to have another election. And in case you haven't been paying attention, this one's kind of tight. This is one of those elections where every vote actually can count. There's a lot of votes up for grabs there in the old Electoral College. That's where this one's going to come down. These states that's got a whole boatload of them, oh boy. This election means something. Hey, down here in Alabama, where we don't have a whole lot of votes to send there to the college, ours still count. We still got to make sure that ours go where we want them to.
We got 9. That 9 could make a difference.
You got that right. Look, man, if you know somebody that's kind of like, well, you know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who we put in there. You know, they're never gonna get it right. So, you know, I don't want to vote. Or, you know what? I tell you, I'm gonna write in so and so. I'll write in Ron Paul, or I'm gonna write in Daffy Duck, or Vin Diesel. Or, if you know people that are like, I just don't care. Those are the people that we got to get to. Those are the people.
They're not going to represent me anyway, so I'm just not going to vote.
See, this can be one of those elections that tell the old establishment guard, yeah, we're listening. We're paying attention.
Yeah, but because see, when you don't vote, what you're telling them is we don't care what you do. And that makes them run amok.
Check this out. I'm in the grocery store today, and our mother had asked me to pick up a ham for Sunday. So I go in the grocery store to pick up the ham. You know how much, you know, like the hams like we would be buying at Easter or Thanksgiving or Christmas, you know, like just like a picnic ham or something like that, you know. You know how much one of them bad boys cost? A half of one cost?
How much?
$35, man.
How much weight are we talking here? 5 pounds? 3 pounds?
About 5 pounds.
Wait, $7 a pound?
Dude, I am not playing. All right, it might have been 6 pounds.
Still.
Yeah, I'm not talking about no big old ham here, all right? I finally found, like, this little bitty, like, 1.5 pound ham that looked like a little bitty shrunk up thing. Call it a dinner ham. That bad boy was almost $15. I said, you got to be kidding me. Well, yeah, we're so much better off than we were 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah, right.
I start looking around, you know, at the gas pump. Man, yesterday I had to fill up 2 vehicles with gas yesterday, dude. That's $100 gone. Pow! You know how long that gas is going to last in each of them vehicles?
About 4 days.
Yup. And, you know, we're not unique in that if wheels don't turn, no money comes home. We're not unique there. That's all over the place. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around and go, man, 4 years ago gas wasn't but $1.78. That's just, come on. 4 years ago, a can of corned beef, all right, just a can of corned beef, like a little bitty 12-ounce or 10-ounce can of corned beef did not cost $5. Toilet paper in a 24-pack was not $8.50.
No, everything at the grocery store has gone up by at least $1.
A box of Tide did not cost no $25, man. Not 4 years ago. These are things that hit home. Everybody wants to, the media want to throw things out there, you know, try to get everybody scared with words like Medicare, Social Security.
Well, let's talk about money for groceries.
Yeah, let's talk about eating. Let's talk about
man, look,
a
all
pound
do is
of...
go on food stamps.
That's what they're hoping for. They want to try to dazzle people with numbers and say, hey, the job numbers came out today.
Yeah, let's talk about the price of eggs. Let's talk about how much...
or a gallon of milk.
A gallon of milk has gone up.
A gallon of milk. $5 for a gallon of milk? Are you serious?
A loaf of bread being nearly $4.
You know, 10 years ago, heck, 5 years ago, if you opened up your pantry, what would be the number one, like, most random thing that everybody's pantry has in common?
Peanut butter.
Besides that, and we were talking about canned vegetables. What canned vegetable would be in...
green beans, man.
Or corn.
Or corn, yeah.
Corn. You ain't gonna see no corn hanging out in people's pantries no more. You know, a can of corn, not cream corn, nothing like that, just a canned corn. Kernels in the can, you know, little yellow things all over the place. One can of that was like 39 cents. We're talking like $1.50 now for a can of blasted corn. Corn, man. And these fat, bloated, greasy, stank, gelled-in behind heifers walking around with their EBT card, standing in the Winn-Dixie with a shopping cart full of Reese's Puff cereal for their little fat, sticky-faced kids is screaming and nah, 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 nah. And saying, ooh, Obama got my back. Cha-ching. Here I am having to put back a pack of hot dogs because I ain't got that $4.
Yeah, $4 for a pack of hot dogs.
This ain't no important election. No.
It don't mean nothing.
No, your vote don't count.
Yeah, stay home. Shoot.
Or the fact that the only job that you're going to have any hope of getting is going to be a minimum wage job.
Yeah, like working in that grocery store.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll get a job in the grocery store because they got benefits.
In grocery stores. I work in retail sales myself, y'all. You know,
I tell you what, or better yet, there's people mine and your age that feel that same way. And they're the ones that really make me sick. Because they're old enough to know better. They should be right in the middle of all of this stuff.
But no, you're right, man. There are people, we know them, who are saying, you know, no, I'm not going to, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to listen to me anyway. Why should I vote for them?
I mean, like, all right, look it. If you're our age, then your parents are now in the Social Security Medicare system. People our age that are screaming about how wonderful it is now have not been paying attention to anything involving Social Security or Medicare.
Well,
they haven't
having
had
anything to do with their parents' health care, I'll tell you that.
They haven't had to buy any medical supplies. I can tell you that. They haven't had to be told that they couldn't get a test run because Medicare won't pay for that anymore for somebody of their age. Those are issues that people should be talking about.
There's no rationing of care.
No, absolutely not.
No. We're not talking about health care rationing.
No, the important thing that we should be talking about is whether or not Mitt Romney likes Big Bird.
Right. That's right, man. That's
or
PBS
the fact that Mitt Romney spoke out about that Benghazi attack and called it an act of terrorism right off the bat.
See, he politicized it. That's the whole reason we're having this conversation. It don't have
That's
anything to
right.
do with people dying or the
no real issues, you know.
No, it's not a real issue.
No real issues. People are just not paying attention. If this race is as close as everybody says it is, it's because people aren't paying attention. Or either that, this is a country that is really honestly willing to cut its own nose off to spite its face. And there are people that are going to vote for Barack Obama, A, because he's a Democrat, and B, because he's not a Republican. I know people like that. You know people like that. If you're listening to this broadcast, you know people like that. And if you're listening to this broadcast and you are one of those people like that, better think about it. If you think times are tough now, imagine how much tougher they can get in 4 more years.
Except I think it will accelerate. I predict that the pace will accelerate if that happens.
We have
downward slide. I mean, you start picking up speed and momentum.
We haven't been this messed up since the Great Depression. I don't care what anybody says. This is not a recession. It is a depression. That old saying about, it's a recession when it's your neighbor that lost his job. It's a depression when you lose yours. We're there now. We're there. We are now at, we've all lost our jobs. You know what I'm saying? The whole country. And they throw these numbers out at us and say, look, we're right back to 7.8 unemployment. Pay no attention to the fact that one of those states didn't send us their numbers, and they was a kind of large one, and we kind of left that one out. But that don't matter. We are back to where we were.
Uh-huh.
And that's good, is it?
Yeah.
Because I remember back when they was stumping in 2008, Joe Biden himself was part of that debate was all about him talking about how bad off Bush had got us with 7.8 unemployment. Now all of a sudden they're hollering about 7.8 like they've done something. That's y'all's October surprise, really? What, we're supposed to be surprised you lied again?
Again.
I mean, I really do get confused at the number of people who are falling for this one. I mean, this is going to go down in history. If Barack Obama wins this election, it's going to go down in history as one of the all-time biggest okie dokes ever. Ever. Like today, I'm looking on the Blaze, right? And I see this article about how that James O'Keefe guy, he's the undercover camera guy, catches somebody working at the DNC that's more or less helping somebody to vote twice. Vote twice.
There's no voter fraud.
No voter fraud here. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
I didn't see anything about that on NBC earlier.
You're not going to see anything like that on NBC.
What?
Man, I swear.
Man, they was saving up to do a whole big expose on it tonight at 10, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Rachel Maddow will be right on that, I'm sure.
Tooth Fairy. I got this loose tooth. The Tooth Fairy going to come tonight.
Well, you know what, man? We just as well believe in the tooth fairy. If we're going to buy into all of this schlub that's being spilled out at us, I mean, come on. If you really think that we're better off now than we were 4 years ago, I encourage you to go to the grocery store. Heck, go to Walmart. Go to Walmart where prices are supposed to be cheaper. See just how much cheaper that is. 3 pounds of ground round, $10. That's cheap. Now, that's Alabama prices, man. We ain't even talking about California. Oh, and like, you know, in California where it's just like pretty much 1975 all over again, where cars are lined up and gas is having to be rationed because there's
But, hey, man, don't compare this Obama presidency to Carter now. That's not fair.
Oh, I think it is. I think it's absolutely fair because it's more or less the exact same thing. The only thing that we don't have right now is you know, a bunch of hostages.
By the way, we're winding down now, and there's one thing that we haven't talked about.
What?
What happens after the show tonight?
Oh, man. Oh, man. See, I'm glad that we go on before the debates because there's no way we could top the debate. What I'm curious about, how many people are going to be watching this particular debate? Last year, 70 million people tuned in to watch Joe Biden go at it with Sarah Palin.
You mean last election?
Our last election, yeah, excuse me.
Well,
this year it's actually going to be...
the numbers are going to be lower, but it's not going to mean anything because the numbers that are going to be reported are the ones from TV networks. I will be watching from YouTube. And so will
millions,
lots and lots and lots of other people.
I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that even the network numbers this year beat the network numbers last year. I'm going to put us at about 75 to 80 million.
I'm actually
predicting
television. Lower because there's going to be a whole bunch of Democrats who just can't watch the carnage.
Well, hey, now don't count out Smoking Joe yet. I mean, even Paul Ryan's not stupid enough to count Joe Biden out. Let's not forget, he's been in office for 47 years. This ain't his first go-around. It is Paul Ryan's first go-round. This isn't Joe Biden's first vice presidential debate either. But it is Paul Ryan's. I mean, Joe Biden is... He may be the most gaffe-tastic vice president in our nation's history. He may be honestly dumb as a post when it comes to walking and chewing gum.
He does, though, have the ability, I'll give him this, to be able to say anything with a straight face.
Yep.
And really, that's all that I think he's been prepped to do, is to get out there and just attack, and say anything. But this is a town hall format.
Well, and two, he has from what I've been reading, he has been poring over Paul Ryan's book, trying to get into Paul Ryan's way of thinking, so that he can debunk it. And he's got. I know we make fun of David Axelrod a lot, but he's got David Axelrod prepping him. And one thing that you can't count out about David Axelrod is he is a Chicago political animal. He knows how to get nasty. And I'm pretty willing to bet that we're not going to get old Granddad Joe tonight. I think we're going to get Smoking Joe. He's going to be fired up and on the attack because right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the hopes of the Democrats election is now on the back of Joe Biden. But you know what, man? People thought that LSU was going to beat Florida last weekend.
They did.
Didn't turn out that way.
No, it didn't turn out that way, as a matter of fact.
I mean, anything can happen. Joe can come out and just smoke Paul Ryan. I mean, it is possible. I hope it doesn't happen because what I would really like to see is Paul Ryan come out calm and affable and be very deliberate and watch what he says.
Oh, I think he's going to do fine. I think he's going to make us proud.
I think so. I've got faith in him. I really do. You know who I think I think Mark Rubio would have been a good prepper for Paul Ryan. Well,
I don't know, because I don't know if Rubio could get in Joe Biden's head.
Well, that's true. Who could? I mean, come on, really. What were they going to do? They got an empty chair for Romney, so what'd they get for to imitate Obama, a fence post? I mean, Joe Biden, a fence post?
I think they got a whoopee cushion.
Dumb as a post? I mean, come on.
They put a whoopee cushion in an empty chair.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to tonight just mainly because I really like Paul Ryan, but the debate that my eye is on is the next presidential.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only vice presidential debate we're going to get. This is the only look we're going to get. But the next debate between Obama and Romney is going to be a slugfest because, Barack said yesterday I was just too polite.
I think it's a town hall one too, and I don't think I think that could put him off his game.
I wonder how many plants are going to be, how many Obama plants are going to be out there with their little softball questions. Excuse me, Mr. Obama, this question is for you. Why are you so wonderful? And for Mr. Romney, is it true you're Satan and a puppy rapist? And when did you stop? That's what I look for in that debate. And the moderator tonight, let's not leave her out of the mix, because everybody jumped on poor old Jim Lehrer like he could have done anything during the last debate. He let the men talk. I look for this broad tonight to start cutting them off. I mean, the mainstream want to poo-poo the fact that Obama was at this woman's last wedding, but I think there's a little bit to that. I think that's going to come into play. I think she's going to let Obama talk, going to cut Romney off.
More than likely. I mean...
or, excuse me, she's going to let Biden talk, cut Ryan off. This is going to be some one-sided stuff tonight.
I think Ryan probably has a couple of zingers lined up in case that happens, too.
I certainly hope so. I mean, I would hate, oh my God, how I would hate for tomorrow morning to have to open up Facebook to see all the funny ha-has if Joe Biden wins this debate. I mean, I've had to choke down a lot of crow over the past 4 years, and I'm not really willing to chew on anymore right now. But we'll see, I guess. Because it's on in 30 minutes.
It's on in 30 minutes.
So that means when you guys get through listening to this, you've got time to go grab you about to eat, put your pizza in the oven, get it out, still be warm and the cheese all melty. Tune into this debate. Watch it. Do yourself a favor. This is not going to be boring stuff, no matter what you might think. There is going to be some entertainment value to this. Watch it. Educate yourself. And take what you get from this debate to the voting booth. Not what you see on NBC, CBS, ABC, or Fox, or any other network. Listen to these men's words and take them at them. That's what they want you to do. Be discerning. Weigh whose plan sounds better. Who sounds like they know what they're doing? Who has a plan? I know Paul Ryan's got one. He wrote a whole book about his. All Joe Biden's ever done is say, yup. Yup. That's his qualification. He's a great yes man. So on that note, or this one, whichever one you want. On that note, we will, I guess we will reconvene Tuesday about this time, or about 6:30. And hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about, because I hope I've got some good zingers from this debate. I really do. I hope this debate gives me a lot of audio. You can check us out on Twitter. I think we're at Honest Answer at Twitter.com or Honest Answer, Twitter.com/Honest Answer. However you do it, look us up. Honest Answer. We will be tweeting, I'm sure, during this thing, or we'll be on Facebooking it. It's just too funny not to. So on that note, Casey, you got anything?
I got nothing.
You got nothing? All right. Well, we'll see you guys Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in.